please give a round of applause for the Honorable Nancy Van Rees.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Wow, good morning. Let's give a moment of thanks for the weather. It's fantastic. For those of you who don't know, my name is Nancy Van Rees. I'm the Metro Council member representing District 8. We are not in District 8, so why am I standing here? Freddie O'Connell, the council member here in this district, is on his way from a work appointment. Oh, good. He's here. Freddie, thanks for letting me crash your pad, man.
Welcome to District 19.
There you go. Welcome indeed to District 19. We like to, yeah, there's District 19 right there. We like to say on the council, or I'm helping Freddie say on the council, District 19 is everybody's district. So thanks for letting us be here. I also have a little bit of history in this industry, and I want to tell you a little story about how this all came about. It was in December of 2018, not too many months ago. We turned in to watch the Kennedy Center Honors. It's a thing that we always like to do in December. Cher was being honored. Philip Glass, the creators of Hamilton. Fellow Oklahoman turned Tennessean Reba McEntire was being honored. And jazz legend Wayne Shorter. As the tribute band was being introduced for Wayne, I heard on percussion Alex Acuna. And I turned to my wife and I said, Alex Acuna, remember him? He was in the band Koinonia. And I'm trying to make an 80s joke that only our family understood at the time. I still have a blue cassette somewhere. Oh, yeah. Joan said, Koinonia, that was the coffee house over on 16th. I played there once. Quite honestly, in our 31 years of marriage, it was the first time I realized, well, that 31 years had gone by. 31 years. Time does that. After our Koinonia flashback, I did some quick searching online to see if there was any written history. Thank you, Brian Mason, for keeping that archive. I called Tim Walker at the Metro Historic Commission and I asked if there were any markers at all in the city recognizing the cultural and economic impact of CCM and gospel music on Nashville. There was not. When Jesus music came to Nashville, it landed at the corner of 16th and Grand. I moved my CCM marketing and radio promotion agency to Nashville in 1986. With all its successes, it's easy to forget that CCM evolved out of a movement of people dedicated to being faithfully counterculture. At the time, they were rebels who tested the boundaries of Sunday church with rock and roll and long hair, resistant to the idea of being labeled as the frozen chosen. It was a generational movement of young people who inspired a renewed relevance of practicing one's own faith, even when it led to cutting against the grains of orthodoxy and tradition. I was, and still am, very proud of my work in the industry from 83 to 97. Amy, even though I was a sophomore at your husband's alma mater, Northwest Classen at the time, I saw you play 1980 in Midwest City High School in Oklahoma. It changed my life. It's my honor to have played a part in the creation of this historic marker. Long before Taylor Swift had 1989, we had a lyric from a song called 1974. We were young, and none of us knew quite what to say. But the feeling moved among us anyway. Slowly, we had made quite a change. Thank you, everybody, for your participation in my life And I want to thank you so much for being here today. It is my honor, as well as Mr. O'Connell's honor, to welcome to the podium our Mayor, David Briley.
Thank you. Some politicians require somebody to come do that for them before they get there. I would have been fine doing it on my own. So I do want to acknowledge Council Lady Nancy Van Rees for her leadership in the community. Councilman Freddie O'Connell, this is his district, so thank you for letting me. Oh, I live in your district, so thank you for letting me stay in my own district. And Council Lady Erica Gilmore is here with us as well, so thanks to each and every one of y'all. I'm going to abandon my written remarks. And we're changing as we move forward. And part of that change entails some risk. Risk that we forget about what has made our city what it is. And it's frankly not the buildings. It's the people. And so each time we do one of these markers, and we're doing one in every district right now, we have a chance as a community to remind ourselves about the people who made the place and to lay a claim to the history and the future of this city. And so that's why these markers are so important. It's not just a marker really about the past, we're laying down a marker about where we're going as a community. And so this is a marker where we get to acknowledge Michael W. Smith and Amy Grant and contemporary Christian music and the Gospel Music Association and all kinds of great things that have made this city what it is. For those of you who were here in 1974, I was here, you know how much the city has changed. But you know that the roots of the city, going back 100 years before that, were very much a conjunction, an intersection of Christianity and music. It goes back for long, long before we ever thought about WSM or any sort of music city. It goes back a long, long time. And so today, as we unveil this marker, I hope everybody here will lay claim in their own way to the moniker Music City, because it's up to you to make it what you want it to be, to name it, and to take advantage of all the opportunities that we have here in our city. So with that, I would like to welcome Jessica Reeves, who oversees the Historical Marker Program for the Metro Historical Commission, to come on up. Hey, how y'all doing? Come on down if you'd like. You see, this is, we can relax. It's all good. So if you'll join me in inviting Jessica up to the stage. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. And as everyone else has said, welcome to District 19. Hello, Freddie O'Connell, and especially to Erica Gilmore, one of our at-large council members. Any of our historical commissioners who may be here as well. I can't see. This is a great problem. Oh, there they are, over at the side. They've been wonderful and supporting all of the marker efforts and approving all of the historical markers. So thank you all so much for being here today as well. A special thank you to the Gospel Music Association for their work in not only making the marker possible, but also a council resolution and everything that they've done to make all of this possible today. So thank you very much to them. And also to a very special group, Jackie Patello, Melinda Gales, Councilman Nancy Van Rees, and Brian Mason. They have really been the leadership group that has led the charge in making this happen. They met with me over in our office, very nearby, just over in Sevier Park, back in the winter, and said, we have this idea, we want to make this happen, how can we do it? And they took charge, wrote the marker text, and did all of the research. They've just been absolutely wonderful to work with. So thank you guys so much for that. The Metro Historical Commission was founded in 1967, and in 1968 we installed our first round of 10 historical markers. So right from the beginning, historical markers have been an integral part of what we as the commission do. And now in 2019 we have over 200 historical markers, this being number 202, I believe. We'll find out in just a minute. As the mayor mentioned, we did receive funding from the Metro Council in 2017 to do a new historical marker in every district. But beyond that, most of our markers are privately funded, and this is one of those markers that was privately funded. So a huge thank you to Capital Christian Music Group, Curb Word Entertainment, and the Provident Label Group. Without them, we would not have this marker here today. So on behalf of the Historical Commission, we're so glad to include the story of Belmont Church, Koinonia Coffee House, and contemporary Christian music in our list of markers and in the story of Nashville's history and culture. So now I'm going to read, well, there are people behind me too, so that the side of the marker that you all won't be able to see, and then I'll invite a couple of guests up, and then we'll read the other side of the marker just so everyone knows what it says, and then we'll unveil after that. So we'll start with the far side of the marker, or your side of the marker for this other half. So it reads, Contemporary Christian Music. Religious music was integral to Nashville's identity as Music City, from early music publishing houses to the international impact of the Fisk Jubilee Singers. Key artists nurtured locally in the 1970s eventually crossed over to mainstream fans, and by the 1990s, contemporary Christian and gospel music outsold jazz and classical. Nashville also became the capital of this new genre, serving as home to the Gospel Music Association, major labels, and a growing creative community. So now I'll invite part of that creative community up to join me on either side of the marker now, Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith. All right, so I will read the marker, and once I start naming off artists that you may recognize, you guys will go ahead and untie and unveil. Nope. All right. So Koinonia, Greek for fellowship, coffee house opened in 1973 with artists such as Dogwood, Fireworks, and Brown Bannister boldly sharing their faith through contemporary music. It became a destination for Jesus music artists nationwide as young talent such as Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith shared their first songs. The neighboring Belmont Church helped with overflow crowds, co-hosting early CCM recording artists. You guys can go ahead now. Early CCM recording artists such as Honeytree, Randy Matthews, Don Francisco, and more. We're ready.
Oh, we're ready?
I gave very bad directions, I'm sorry. So we'll invite the council members, Van Reese and O'Connell, and the mayor up for a couple of photos very quickly, and then we'll move on with the rest of the program. Yes.
Where are we? Which side?
Oh, good job.
You guys, 3 on one side, 3 on the other.
There we go.
Okay, stay there. Did you get everyone in there, Terry? You're gonna look at these photographers right here.
We definitely know what's going on. It's fine. And now I would like to invite again Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith up to the microphone, and they are going to share a few of their memories of Belmont and Koinonia. So Amy and Michael, come on up. Thanks so much.
Thank you. I could just spend a long time letting my eyes drift across this crowd. So many familiar faces. I feel like that line from Hook when Robin Williams is being confronted by the Lost Boys, and they're looking at him, and then they start pushing his loose skin back, and he goes, "There you are." That's how I feel looking at this crowd.
Oh, you would do that.
So, one vivid story comes to mind, or two pictures. I was introduced to the world of Koinonia and the music of Dogwood because I'm the youngest of four girls, and my two oldest sisters, Kathy and Mimi, had discovered this community through Dan Harrell and Jerry Verner, the men that they eventually married. And we were part of another church. I felt sneaky and like a rebel when I would get a ride down here. But every Saturday night, Dogwood, initially Steve Chapman, help me, my brain's firing, Ron Elder and Dennis. Anyway, Dogwood then became Steve and Annie Chapman and Ron Elder. But every Saturday night, they came and played. And the coffee shop was a shotgun with a potbelly stove in the back, a wood-burning stove, and the carpet was carpet samples that had been pieced together. It was multicolored. Everybody just sat jammed in there cross-legged. My first boyfriend in high school, I was not old enough to drive, and I said, "I'm happy to go to your games on Friday, but I'm booked every Saturday night," because I wanted to come here. And I felt like it felt like the spiritual version of walking into my grandmother's house and smelling her freshly baking yeast rolls. It's like if I just could not, I just wanted to take it in. I wanted to taste it. I never wanted that environment to disappear from my life. And Koinonia morphed into several configurations, but that welcoming spirit, that there's room at the table, never left. And the vivid memory happened in the foyer of Belmont Church, which, I mean, it was better than like a reality TV show, because you never knew what was going to happen. You know, there was a bar at a catty corner across the street. Anybody could walk in. People would get up to say a confession from the pulpit, and it was going to be juicy. And I remember one time standing next to Don, because his youngest daughter, Helen, was one of my dearest friends, and a woman came in, and, I mean, she looked like she had been around the block. And she said, "Preacher, I take my clothes off for a living. Can I go to church here?" And he said, you give your heart to Jesus. He'll tell you what you can and can't do. Of course, you can go to church here." And I just thought, that is the church. It's the invitation. It's fearless. It's fearless. It's fearless love, fearless welcome, knowing that He who began a good work in us, and every creation is a good work. He who began a good work in us is faithful to complete that work. And I'm so grateful that this memory is being kept alive. But those of us that are part of the wallpaper, we smelled the rolls. Thank you.
I should have gone first. 'Cause I can't top that. I agree with everything that Amy said. I'm going to try not to cry. And God's ways are higher than our ways. I think He has a great sense of humor. To think of our friend and Savior and the King of Kings was born of all places in a stable. And much of Christian music was born in a bookstore. And then this kid from West Virginia found his way to Nashville, Tennessee, and found himself completely, radically changed by the love of God on this corner. And so when I drive by here, it takes my breath away every time. And I tear up, and because I could have been in the gutter, actually was in the gutter, from 75 to 79. And that pivotal moment in 79, not too far from here, changed my life. And I made my home on this corner, in that church, in this bookstore, that completely changed my life. And it's honor and humbling all at the same time to be here for such a historic occasion. God bless you guys. Thank you.
And now would you please welcome Executive Director and President of the Gospel Music Association, Jackie Patillo.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you, Michael, for your indelible legacy. Thank you, Mayor Briley, for honoring us with your presence and support today. Thank you. On behalf of the Gospel Music Association Board of Directors, our chairman, Scott Brickle, I want to thank you all for coming and helping us to pay homage to what was the birth of a new sound, a new genre that was titled contemporary Christian music. In the 1870s, the Fisk Jubilee Singers drew worldwide attention to Nashville with their powerful gospel sound. Southern gospel and quartet music has been an important part of our roots. But God used some young creatives, a new generation, to establish a new sound that was nurtured right here at Koinonia under the visionary leadership at Belmont Church. Thank you, Don Finto. I too want to thank Peter York at Capital Christian Music Group, Ryan Doki at Curbword Entertainment, and Terry Hemmings at Provident Music Group, our label sponsors, for helping us put this stake in the ground right here on Music Row. These labels are just a few of many who have chosen to make Music City their home and represent a vital part of Christian and gospel music. I'd also like to acknowledge the champions who are responsible for the placement of this historic marker. You've heard from some of them today already, but special thanks goes to the Metro Historical Commission. Jessica, thank you. To Nancy Van Rees and Freddie O'Connell from Metro Council. Melinda Scruggs, Gales, Brian Mason, as well as Steve Brunfield, Jules Workman, and Justin Fratt for your dedication to this project. Thanks also goes to the Metro City Council, who declared a resolution last week acknowledging this historic marker, as well as the 50th anniversary of the Dove Awards. I hope you'll join us on October 15th at the Allen Arena on the campus of Lipscomb University for this historic Dove Awards celebration, where all styles of music with a life-giving message will unite on one stage. Those of you who are unable to attend can tune in on Sunday, October the 20th, and watch along with millions around the world on TBN. The GMA is proud to be a part of Music City's rich history, where it all begins with a song. And I want to thank you again for coming. This is an awesome crowd. God bless you, and may God continue to bless the efforts of all who spread the gospel through music. Thank you very much.